E aí, gente, Ben Brewer aqui! Today we're going to talk about the brewing process. If you want to learn more about home brewing, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now, some people will tell you that the first step is different if you're using extract or all grain, but I'm going to tell you it is the exact same step. The first thing you want to do is walk through your entire process. Make sure you have all of your ingredients out and ready to use, as well as all of your equipment out and ready to use. Nothing will ruin your brew day faster than finding out you need to come back into your garage and get some equipment, or worse, you have to run to the store and buy something. Step 1, walk through the process. Now, while I'm walking through the process, I'm going to go ahead and put my grains inside of my mash tun and allow them to warm up. You also need to go ahead and calculate your strike temperature. I prefer using an online calculator. The one that I really like is the Green Bay Rackers, and I'm going to put their link in the description down below. The reason why I like them, not only does it calculate your strike temperature, it allows you to play with the thickness of your mash. I do not recommend that you go any thicker than a 1-to-1 ratio. And it also allows you to calculate the volume required based on the amount of grains that you have. Now, that ratio that I was talking about is the quarts of water you're using and pounds of grain. So you want 1 quart of water per pound of grain at the very least. Step 2, you go ahead and warm up your water to strike temperature and introduce the hot liquor into your mash and allow it to mash for an hour. During this step, I put together my sanitizing solution and begin sanitizing my fermenters, funnels if I'm going to use them, or my auto siphon. About 5 minutes to the end of your mash, you're going to want to go ahead and warm up your sparge water. Then at the conclusion of your mash, I like to do batch sparging, which is you completely drain out your mash and then you introduce the sparge water and you allow it to sit for 20 minutes. You can do fly sparging, which is introducing water while you're draining the wort. I just don't end up with the efficiency. I use 3 different sparges and I allow it to wait for 20 minutes. Now, doing that does add an entire hour to my mash time, but it does get me up to between 80 and 85% efficiency, which is really good. The first runnings of both your mash out and each one of the sparges needs to be captured in a secondary vessel and recirculated back up to the top of the mash tun so that all of the particulates remain at the top of the grain bed and don't end up in your wort. You're going to do first wort hops. Go ahead and add your hop addition and begin warming up the water to the hot break. That's going to be the boiling point, and it looks like this. Once you hit that hot break, you're going to allow the wort to go ahead and boil for 45 minutes. Then you're going to add a wort chiller if you're using it, let it boil for 10 minutes. Then you're going to do your final hop addition, boil for 5 minutes, and then you're going to go ahead and bring down the temperature. Now, most of you guys, for your first batch, are going to be using an ice bath, and that's going to be submerging the boiling wort inside of a sink filled with ice water. Shake it around to agitate it and make sure that it's swirling so that you get that temperature dispersion all the way through your wort. You want to get your wort below 140 degrees as fast as possible to prevent off flavors. After your wort is at temperature, you're going to go ahead and rack it into your fermenter, agitate it to get some oxygen in there, pitch your yeast, add your airlocks, and put it aside where it can maintain temperature. You're going to want to go ahead and clean things up immediately to make sure that there's nothing that gets stuck on there. The grains you're going to want to allow to cool down. Do go ahead and put them in a bag and seal it up tight. Cockroaches love the smell of wort. And after you're finished cleaning, go ahead and take a couple of cups of vinegar, white wine vinegar, and pour it down the drain. This does 3 things. 1, it breaks up any fats that may have gotten in there. It will also descale your system, so it'll take up a lot of those hard water stains, and it will cover the odor so you don't have to worry as much about cockroaches. It's easier to prevent a problem than to solve a problem. After fermentation is complete, we're going to go ahead and boil up some priming sugar, put it in our bottling bucket, and go into our bottles, kegs, whatever you happen to be using. I do recommend that you go ahead and bottle condition or put priming sugar and allow it to wait the 2 weeks in kegs or bottles. This will allow it to naturally carbonate, and there are definite benefits to the flavor of that aging process while the yeast is actually going through and cleaning up different esters and producing natural carbon dioxide. At 2 weeks, you're ready to drink. Thank you very much for your time. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.